Imagine standing on a platform, waiting for a train that is supposed to take you to a new beginning, only to realize it is a one-way ticket into a living nightmare. Welcome back to Movie Recaps. This is a story about a father who has forgotten how to be a parent, a daughter who just wants to feel loved, and a world that decides to tear itself apart in the span of a single afternoon. Be warned, there are massive spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The story begins in a way that feels deceptively normal. A truck approaches a quarantine zone and is immediately met by personnel in heavy, yellow protective gear that disinfect the vehicle. The driver asks one of them what is going on and he replies that there was just a minor leak in the biotech district, but that there should be no big problems for the public. The driver continues and when he tries to pick up his ringing phone he hits something on the road. He gets out of the truck, seeing it is a deer, but when he checks that his vehicle has no bumps, he leaves the carcass on the road. Suddenly, the animal comes back to life with milky, lifeless eyes. Suk-woo is at work, talking to a client on the phone and discussing the sale of certain stocks. He scrolls a news site with reports on the mysterious deaths of the fish in a reservoir when his assistant walks in. Suk-woo tells him to sell all the stocks from that company immediately. Later, he parks his car and argues with his ex-wife on the phone about Suin, their daughter. The girl wants to visit her mom the next day for her birthday, but he does not want to let her go alone. He arrives home, where his mother opens the door for him. Walking into the girl's room he finds her talking to her mom on the phone, saying that she can take the train alone. She hears him and hangs up. Suk-woo sits next to Suin and asks her to wait a week until he has less work so he can take her to Busan. He gives her the birthday present early. She opens it, but it turns out she already has that same thing that he got for her before. He asks her what else would she want and she tells him that she wants to go see her mommy. Suin says that she will go alone so that she does not waste his time. Suk-woo and his mom talk about the girl. She tells him to have a heart-to-heart with his wife when he does go to Busan. He tells her that it is a crucial period for him at work, but his mom says that it is a crucial period in Suin's life too, then leaves him with a camera that has a recording of the girl's recital he did not go to. Suk-woo watches the video and sees how much she is hurting, so he finally decides to take her there. In the car, he talks to Suin about the recital, trying to make a life lesson out of it, when he almost hits an ambulance on the road. They stop and watch an entire cordon drive by. Suddenly, the girl notices soot falling from the sky like ash and a distant fire can be seen in the reflection of the car. At the station, the train to Busan is getting ready to depart. The conductor walks in his cabin and the attendants prepare as well. The coach of a baseball team tells everyone to sit down, but they see one of their cheerleaders walk in and cheer. In-gil offers Jong-gil a boiled egg, just as Suk-woo and his daughter board the train. He calls his work and tells them he will be back before lunch. Before the train leaves, a hurt girl runs into the car unnoticed. As it departs, Suin sees a man attack a station worker through the window. The girl that entered the train has a nasty bite mark on her leg. Yeon-suk tells one of the attendants that an odd man jumped the train and that he has been in the bathroom for a while. Suin is curious and goes to see what is happening. The men keep saying that everyone is dead, but the attendant does not understand what he means and tries to convince him to get out of the bathroom. The bitten girl walks through the train and faints, but no one seems to notice her. Suin wants to go to the bathroom, but runs into Sang-hwa who is guarding the door for his wife and tells her to go to another one in the next car. Suin's search for a restroom leads her to Sang-hwa, a man guarding a door for his pregnant wife, who directs the young girl to the next car just as the atmosphere on the train shifts from uneasy to lethal. The bitten girl begins convulsing on the floor, and though an attendant frantically calls for medical help, it is already too late. Suk-woo is jolted awake by a phone call from his assistant, who warns him that a mysterious catastrophe is sweeping across the entire nation. Realizing Suin is gone, he rushes through the aisles just as the first infected passenger stands up, her eyes milky and her humanity replaced by a primal hunger. The horror escalates in a heartbeat as the attendant is bitten and the infection rips through the baseball team, turning the high-speed train into a slaughterhouse. Suk-woo finally finds his daughter amidst a sea of panicked passengers running for their lives as a mountain of zombies chases them through the narrow corridors. In the desperate scramble for safety, Suk-woo's instincts are cold and survival-focused. He nearly shuts a heavy glass door in the faces of Sang-hwa and his pregnant wife, Song Kyung, to save himself. Sang-hwa manages to force his way in, and together they discover that these monsters are blind in the dark and cannot operate doors. By covering the glass with water and newspaper, Song Kyung effectively pacifies the creatures, buying the survivors a momentary, terrifying breath of air. The outside world is no safer, as evidenced by a heartbreaking phone call Suk-woo receives from his mother, whose voice devolves into animalistic growls as she turns while on the line. As the train passes through stations, the survivors witness nightmare scenes of people begging for help before being devoured by hordes on the platforms. A government announcement flickers on the screens, with officials urging citizens to ignore fake news and stay calm, even as cities burn and a state of emergency is declared. Trapped in a steel tube hurtling toward Busan, the passengers begin to realize that the government's promises of safety are lies, and their only hope lies in the strength of the person standing next to them. In a quiet moment of kindness amidst the growing tension, Suin gives up her own seat to the elderly In-gil. Sang-hwa watches this interaction from a distance, still visibly fuming with anger because Suk-woo had cold-bloodedly tried to shut the doors in his pregnant wife's face earlier. Rather than being proud of his daughter's kindness, Suk-woo scolds the young girl for being selfless, sternly instructing her that in a crisis of this magnitude, she must prioritize her own survival above everyone else. The tension is momentarily broken by an announcement from the conductor, informing the terrified passengers that the train will soon be making a stop at a station where the military has supposedly been deployed to secure the area. However, Suk-woo's instincts as a fund manager kick in when he overhears the executive Yeon-suk frantically asking someone on the phone which cities are still safe. It becomes clear that their upcoming stop is not on the secure list. Telling Suin to stay put, Suk-woo retreats to another car to leverage his own professional connections. While he is gone, Sang-hwa strikes up a conversation with the girl, and when she reveals her father is a fund manager, he bluntly remarks that it explains his bloodsucker behavior. Surprisingly, the child quietly agrees. To soften the mood, Sang-hwa's wife, Song Kyung, offers Suin some candy and lets the girl touch her pregnant belly, where Suin feels the baby kick for the first time. Meanwhile, Suk-woo reaches a high-level client who reveals a dark truth: anyone arriving at that station will be forcibly quarantined. To save himself and his daughter, Suk-woo strikes a deal to bypass the main square and head for the east exit, where his contact promises to have men waiting to let them through. When the train finally pulls into the station, the expected military presence is nowhere to be seen. Yeon-suk is the first to push his way out, followed by a stream of passengers and the baseball team, who are now armed with bats. While the conductor is pressured by Yeon-suk to uncouple the infected cars and speed straight to Busan, the rest of the passengers wander into the eerily silent station. Suk-woo begins leading Suin toward the secret East Square, followed closely by a homeless man who overheard his secret phone call. Suin is visibly distraught, wanting to warn the other passengers, but her father refuses to let her speak. The silence is shattered as the passengers reach the bottom of the escalator, only to find that the entire military unit has been transformed into a ravenous zombie horde. A chaotic massacre